Hey there, welcome back. I am Jenny Hendricks, your local broker in Cedar City and the surrounding areas. So I promised you guys a deeper dive into the just concluded 2026 Utah General Legislative Session. This was a big one. Over 1,000 bills were introduced. The state has a $31+ billion state budget, and there was a lot of focus on taxes, housing, water, affordability. So we've been tracking the bills that matter most to us. Legislation that affects things like property taxes, income tax, housing development, and some bonus data center information as well. So in this video, I'm going to break down a handful of bills. We'll cover what each bill did, whether it passed or failed, and why that matters. What are we doing here in Cedar City and the surrounding areas? So let's jump in. So the 2026 session wrapped up March 6th with lawmakers passing 541 bills out of over 1,000 that were introduced. Some highlights include an income tax cut for the 6th straight year, $31+ billion budget with funding for homelessness, corrections, and education, and some failed pushes on property tax changes and housing reforms. So one bill that became suddenly relevant to Iron County is HB 76, called the Data Center Water Transparency Amendment. This requires big data centers to notify local water authorities before building. They have to report annual water use, conservation efforts, and more, with public data published and fines for noncompliance. There were no hard limits set on water usage, but more transparency is now required. This passed both chambers and was signed into law effective May 6th of 2026. Next is SB 284. This has to do with overhauling land use plans, updating planning appeals, and it allows detached accessory dwelling units, ADUs, on large lots in some areas. It also requires water plans by 2028 and to tweak some roadway standards. The biggest takeaway though is it allows detached ADUs. This bill passed both chambers and it was signed into law. So we're hoping this could create some additional affordable housing. Now I really want to bring up HB 184. This bill was called the Small Lots and Starter Homes Amendment Bill. It tried to allow property owners to request overrides for smaller lots, like infill lots, for starter homes in certain zones, with timelines for local municipalities to approve to build a small home on an existing lot. This bill was one I really liked, and I think it was a really good way to create small affordable homes on infill lots. This bill died in House committee, so that was kind of a bummer. The housing push that didn't make it. I'm hoping the bill sponsor will bring it back next year and try to get it through next session. So this next one I'm sure is going to be very popular. This has to do with income tax. SB 60, which is titled Income Tax Rate Amendment, dropped the flat individual and corporate income tax rate from 4.5 to 4.45%. This is the 6th cut in a row for income taxes in the state of Utah. So we are really excited about that. Now, let me tell you about a very close call. This is SB 97, which is titled Tax Revenue Amendment, proposed to limit the 45% residential property tax exemption, mostly just to owner-occupied primary residences. So currently in Utah, if you own the home that you are in and you occupy that home for more than 183 days a year, you get a 45% reduction in your property taxes. Also, if you have a rental property up to 3 units, if the rental property is occupied full-time by a tenant, which means it's somebody's full-time residence, it's not a second home, it's not a short-term rental, those rental properties currently get the 45% residential property tax exemption. SB 97 proposed to remove the property tax exemption from rentals and investment properties. So this could have added thousands of dollars in taxes per year to an average rental, which has the very real result of potentially raising rents for tenants and creating greater unaffordability in the housing market. Obviously, this had heavy opposition from landlords, tenants, housing groups like the Realtor Association. They tried to amend it to kind of soften the blow, but at the 11th hour, literally like 11:45 on the last night of the session, this bill died on the Senate floor. Thank goodness. So rental property owners get to keep the current exemption, which is great news for the small local investors and landlords in Cedar City, which so many investors are. So what does this mean for us here in Cedar City and Southern Utah? Tax relief came by income tax reduction, but property tax tweaks mostly stalled. Housing efforts like smaller lots failed, but land use tweaks could help us with future planning. Water transparency in HB 76 is a win for sustainability as growth continues, and there were no major shifts for rentals or public property sales. Thank you for watching this deep dive into our most recent legislative session. I will continue to keep you updated on Utah policy. And were there any bills that you were watching that I didn't bring up? Anything that you're curious about going on at the legislature? This is important to keep track of, so let me know. If you have questions, I will bring you the answers. Have a good one. We'll see you soon.